What is up, guys? I'm Kyle at Fortune Off-Road, and today we're finally installing rock sliders on the Samurai. So these rock sliders are something I've been wanting to install on the Samurai for a long time. I was pretty sure which ones I wanted to go with. These are the ones I saw immediately when I bought the Samurai. I thought they looked awesome and it looked like they were constructed really well. This is going to be my install video, so you can see how it went, see how difficult it was and the tools I used. Stay tuned till the end of the video. I'm going to go over why these rock sliders were good for me and why they might not be a good fit for you and your Samurai. And we bent up the rocker just a little bit down here. Geez, really surprised that I was able to do this much damage to it. You can see right there, it's folded in. All right, so I'm going to be focusing on the driver's side here. So the first thing you need to do is what a rock already did for me, and that's take out all of the plastic trim that connects between fender and rear fender. You need it all bare, just like this. Now that that piece of trim is off, the next thing we need to do is locate all the spot welds. Now, sometimes if it's really dirty like mine is, they may be hard to see, but you can at least feel them. They're all these little circles. It's not the only way to get these out, but it is probably the easiest, especially since the low range kit comes with this little drill bit. So what you're gonna wanna do is find the center of these little tiny holes, get a punch a little center hole in there. That way your drill bit can stay centered, and we've gotta take all those out so we can pull this whole piece off. You could probably use just about any drill bit for this, but the one that comes with the low range kit is probably the best, because when you're drilling through here, you don't want to drill through both sides of the sheet metal too much, because that will weaken it a little bit. And you can see here why this bit is a little bit better for it. You can see it's kind of raised in the center there, so you can get right into that alignment hole, and then it's flat on the sides. Let's see if this does the trick. Fender flares are off, both the front and the rear. The panel down here is stripped, so now it's time to hold the rock slider up to the Samurai body. We're gonna get some jack stands and maybe a floor jack to keep it there, and then we're gonna use the existing holes in the rock sliders to drill some 1/4 inch holes for the attachment points. All right, that looks pretty cool already, doesn't it? It was actually really easy underneath here. There's this lip. It's kind of easier to see right there. Once you hook this under, the leverage of the top rocking out kind of keeps it up there, but obviously you can't count on that. I tried jacking it up from the bottom here, and it kind of flared the top out a little bit. So what I decided to do is just prop it up underneath this step right here, which makes it want to hug the body. That's going to be a lot easier to get some more precise drilling. Now, these are side specific. If you do get them mixed up though, this logo right here is supposed to go towards the front of the vehicle. So we've drilled out all those pilot holes using the 1/4 inch drill bit. Now we're going to go through and widen them all up with this 7/16 drill bit. It might be helpful to have the rock slider laying down so you can identify which are the new holes if you have existing holes or you drilled through too deep with the spot weld remover. Now it's time to install the jack nut. These will all get lined up with the holes that we just widened, and we'll just tap them in. Everything we do with this sheet metal from now on, we're going to be super gentle with it. It's just so thin, we don't want to tear it off. We're going to tap these in, then we're going to use the low range off-road tool to help keep these from spinning while we put the bolts in, and then as we start to tighten them, these are going to flatten up, and it's going to be a nice solid fit on there that we can screw our rock sliders into. These jack nuts are pretty tough to get set in there because they just want to spin. No matter how hard you push this tool on there, some of them just still want to spin. You can see I've got like a little bit of wear in this tool already. It's supposed to be flush like that. One thing I did to try to get them to stop spinning so much was I got a punch and just marred up the bottom of this to kind of give it some teeth to bite onto, and that really helped. We've got all these tightened down. You can see all the spinning that it's done just trying to get that thing on there. So we've got all the jack nuts in. It took a really long time. It was actually getting dark yesterday. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I didn't get to finish it till today because these jack nuts are extremely hard to get in. So if you're having a hard time with these, don't beat yourself up. This whole process is the hardest part. So one thing I found is if you get some needle nose pliers on any that are spinning like this one was, you can kind of grab it from the side like that, and that can help to make it not spin and crimp onto the metal. But take your time with this part. This metal is all extremely thin. You can see where I've bent this up, just wheeling. Take your time with this, find out whatever method works for you and do it that way. Now you can see down here there's a little bit of rust. I'm going to go through and clean this all up, put some tape on the top part. So the rock sliders are going to need to be cleaned up before they can be primered and painted. I'm going to be using some of this on them, this clean strip mineral spirits. We just need to get all of this residue off of here before we can paint. My plan is to put on this inside that's facing the bottom and the body of the Samurai. We're just going to primer that to keep it protected because there is a possibility for water to get in, and then hopefully soon we'll be able to throw them on, see how they look, and start crashing into stuff. So we had a fair amount of damage on this rocker area. Definitely had some bare metal, so I decided to throw some primer on here. Did my best to keep all the primer below where the rock sliders are going to show, so hopefully it covers all that up. Not a huge deal if it doesn't. Here is the primer we're using for the rock sliders and this part of the body right here. This is Rust-Oleum's primer sealer. It says it helps basically paint connect with the primer and bare metal and all that. But with the paint to go on the rock sliders, I was really torn about which one to use. Just kidding. Anybody who knows me or seen my videos, I run Rust-Oleum Semi-Gloss Black. It's perfect for these applications, and really any metal that isn't perfectly smooth, this is going to help hide some of those imperfections, and it's also not going to be so shiny that it looks like a mall crawler. We've got about 3 coats of the Rust-Oleum Semi-Gloss Black on here. We're getting ready to mount it up and hopefully get all of these jack nuts started. I hope they go in there smooth. Let's check it out. Decided to go with the fenders again while I've got them. And check it out, rock sliders installed. So actually all the jack nuts went in pretty well. These ones I was able to access from a hole that's already there from some speakers that were put in, so I was able to tighten those all up. And very important, you need to look at the directions for these and make sure you torque them down correctly. I believe it was 8 foot-pounds. Definitely don't want to overdo it because you will break the jack nut like I did with this one. You can see the top just came right off, and then the rest goes inside the body. I got the one with this little tube step on it, these raised ridges in here that are like a nice step for you. Overall, I think it looks really awesome. The kit also comes with a bunch of little plugs to put your fenders on. There's a lip right here that these fenders sit on. So I got a real tight grip on there, and then I just put some zip ties on there. So hopefully those will break if they ever get caught on anything, and it'll just rip my fender off instead of ripping the fender itself. Quick look on the bottom here. You can see this attachment looks pretty good. And you can see there's this little recess part. I'd say it's about 1 inch. And what I'm thinking is I'm probably going to end up plating some of this frame right here and then maybe put a 2x2 piece of steel and kind of connect it to the frame. Although these are built very stout, I'd say they weigh about 40 pounds. They're pretty heavy duty. This body that they're connected to is super thin. I mean, when I started tightening these down on the jack nuts, it wasn't tightening to the body was tightening to these. It's just going to crunch in this whole area, and I'd really like to have some support for them right there, so it's pushing in on the frame. It has a little bit of pushback. It looks like it's about 3/16 inch, and then right here there's a little bit of 1/8 inch on there. So I mean, these are pretty thick. I think they look awesome. They're going to hopefully help me pivot around some stuff and also protect the body under there. I'm super stoked to have these. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's it, guys. The install was Okay, if you have an option to use the riv nuts, I would definitely go with that. That seems like a way better way to attach those nuts to the body. These jack nuts are truly a nightmare. If you have a lot of rust on this part of your truck, or you just have a lot of body damage, these are not the rock sliders for you. Mine are in pretty good shape, although I did kind of crush in the front part of the rock slider area just from wheeling without them, and that wasn't a huge deal. But any type of wave in that sheet metal or bend or gap is going to make it hard for those jack nuts or riv nuts to go in straight. Therefore, it's going to be hard to get the bolts in when it's time to put the rock slider on. If you have a lot of rust in that area or a lot of holes, you're not going to be able to do it. These jack nuts are extremely hard to put on, and I really think that that's just going to rip out of the metal. Now, with all of these bolts in there, I think it's pretty strong. Low Range has some pretty good directions on their website, and they also have a video showing how strong these jack nuts are when they're properly installed. Now that we're all done with the install, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks great. There aren't any bolts just sticking out. If you want to check these out for yourself, I'll put a link down into the description. As always, thanks for checking out my video. See you guys next time.